The time is now. It's back to the rhymes. It's like, wow, he's back to the rhymes. I'm in the booth straight dropping dimes. Clark Kent daily plant the metropolis times. I write these raps while I'm under the gun. See you back to get you some. A little bit of this and a little bit of that. Pure, raw, uncut rap. Back to the rhymes. Now's the time. Time to unwind because it's back to the rhymes. Back to the rhymes. Now's the time. Time to unwind because it's back to the rhymes. Pardon me. Let's get these shined up. All right. So, doing this at a somewhat decent time with somewhat decent rest. School album sales. Not a lot happening in that regard, but it's here. Um, yeah. All right. Nothing much to say about that right now. Two with the country song. Not too much happening. I am being a little more intentional listening to country music. Because my countdown show is gone, so they have the daily countdown show. So checking that out. I do like that Luke Combs made. I'm not big into covers, but he did that Fast Car, and what can I say? It sounds pretty good. It's kind of nice. Shout out there, shout out, something like that. But no progress in that regard. So number three is YouTube channel. I probably would talk. I'll talk about this some. So let's say I should thank my daughter first of all for the YouTube short suggestion, and Joseph would have to include in that because I must have done a pretty good one. So view wise, it's not the record, but length of view, it was like I guess on average watched 5 times, so that's pretty good. So then it had 100 views, but I think it's only one view, even though it's watched a bunch of times. That's kind of weird, right? So they don't count per, but they track the length of time because it's like 500% viewing. So that's what I figured out. So yeah, that did well on YouTube. Did okay on Instagram. Not very good. I forgot to check it today, but it wasn't my worst. It was probably towards. So it's okay. But I thought it was a pretty good little rhyme. So who knows? Hard for me to figure out how it works, but just keep putting it out there. So and then what the thank you part is the got a couple subscribers, I guess, as a result of that short. So that's a big good thing, right? So thank you if you happen to see this for subscribing. You know, that's cool. Let's see. So I would talk about it here, I guess, too. So did yeah, I can talk about that in a bit. Yeah, nothing new with Instagram. I guess maybe this past week I followed Alaron. He followed me, so that's cool. He's very active on there. So is Concrete. I'd say Alaron's really into it, and I was able to chat with Aaron Concrete. Come back. Just so that's his full name, but Concrete's kind of his nickname. He's a good guy for sure, and they had that free slice night at Pagliacci, so we took advantage of that. Um, yeah, just to learn what the music business is for him and what it's been, and he's been working at it a long time, and kind of his goals, because he was sharing that. For instance, just to talk about persistence. So he says, so let's say he talked about how he got started recording because Trevesh was with us and how to get started and just kind of happened. He started writing about the same age I did, about 19. And it just, he had a couple friends to do it with, which was nice. Never had that exactly, but I'm getting more friends now for that later in life. But he was saying that, I didn't ask him too much about how he, I guess his friend was his dad owned a computer company, so he was good with recording, figuring out how to record. He said bootleg recording, something like that. But so they got that recording part figured out, content figured out, all pre-internet, of course, and then just kept working on it. But he really does like horrorcore type stuff, that genre, which Alex is into that, and I want to hopefully get those guys more time to get connected because they have a similar interest. I guess actually I got yeah. So Aaron, but Concrete's gonna promote. He's got a show. He's got some kind of show August 20th. I think it's called Substation. I could not remember. I think it's called Substation in Ballard. So on August 2nd, he's going to be at the Crocodile promoting that because one of the Insane Clown posse members will be performing. And he's not one of the opening acts, but I guess the following night, which is his scheduled day off, he'll be in Richland as an opening act. And he said for 10 years he asked, 10 years, so here's persistence. 10 years he asked to be on the docket, be a part of it. And so somehow it happened, I guess, but that's great persistence. And his person he's kind of wanting to follow, I should have looked him up a little. I've heard the name. So Tech Nine's his name. He's got a real large following. And what do you say? He's his own manager. He's independent, all this stuff. And he was talking about, I think, was it 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Boy, let me think about that. I don't want to be wrong on this. I don't know if it was 10 years. 10 years? I talk about doing shows in Olympia to 30 to 50 people. Now he sells out. He said he did 2 shows at the Showbox Soto, sell out the Moore Theater, which is this is a big deal, right? So and he just said that being consistent, working at it. He mentioned that people, at least some of the people who are supporting him, like keep at it, man, keep showing up. He also said that being out of town is better for him and probably any artist because you're different, I guess. If you're local, which I have heard, got to create the local buzz, but I don't know. It's better for him, and he thinks there's an advantage to being out of town, being in town, for how you're received. So all these things are very good information because he's willing to share. He's working on this, and you could see there's potential. Like the show at the substation, he said he's investing money. I think he's got someone to go in with him, but that's $300 to get that venue booked. So he paid. So in a way, he's like his own agent there, booking the show, right? I guess you pay. All this is like, oh, okay, So he said instead of doing a free show, he's like, okay, I gotta invest, and then try to draw people in, get promote it, and sell tickets at the door, I guess. The getting money from the bar is in his experience is really rare. So all these things I'm just sharing because I've never really had this sort of conversation, kind of behind the scenes, kind of, and like he just got off this kind of tour. He said he was gone for 9 days. I thought he was gone forever, but it's only 9 days apparently touring. So there it is, and you're probably anybody's gonna need to go through those steps before they go bigger than that, right? So that's the way it is, except for like in my discussions with Alex, he's saying being so busy to go viral will be my kind of path at this point. For now, that makes the most sense to just continue that. And we did record. I'll come back to that actually. So All right, so rules of engagement, nothing really new. We're kind of doing some stuff with Alron. We're not. I mean, he does have a contract. I don't really look at it too hard. I probably should. It's just tedious, and he's doing it right by putting that out there and collecting a little money and who's doing what. So I need to kind of look into that. I suppose that's on me. Um, Bellevue Ballers. I suppose I could say the song I'm doing now is fairly related to something like that. If you don't want to share, I might as well share that we have our voicemail system that I read an article that says the average one bedroom apartment in Washington is about uh, gosh, oh sorry. In order to afford a one bedroom apartment in Washington, state of Washington, you need to make about $30 an hour, which is 60,000 a year. Or in the Seattle Bellevue area, you need to make 84,000 a year to afford a what? A one bedroom apartment. Wow. So when it comes to Bellevue Ballers, this makes me think I need to be talking about that more because realistically, how do people do it? You know, I guess you're gonna get roommates. You're gonna have a high paying six figure. You know, you're going way past six figures just to get started to have a decent standard of living. I'd say. Um, that's something that's worth discussing with people and just try to get their perspective as to how they're approaching this. And a lot of these things are always kind of like, oh, we need low income housing, all this stuff, you know, just kind of playing to the lowest common denominator. Um, for me, I mean, obviously supply demand, right? And then you have supply demand and you have basically government interference and printing of money and all these things that jack up the cost of living unnecessarily so. So those two things are really happening in this area. It's a high demand area, and you've got artificial forces. What would you call it? Yeah, um, false economy type stuff. Um, anyway, so for instance, trying to increase wages without increasing production just because people can't afford something. Well, okay. How does that get paid for? It gets paid for increased prices of goods and services. Simple. And that's just where we're at. So, and if you can just keep going down the cycle, if you keep going down that road, you'll forever be just like, well, we raised the wage, they raised the rent, therefore we got to raise the wage again, and it did. No, that's not the way it should work. All right, music for Back to the Rhyme. So no, songs and just in general. So yeah, working on these songs with Alaron. I guess I could tell you the name of it. The song we're working on called "Drop Top Anthem." I guess I got to practice. I'm off again this Thursday, which is cool to have kind of a scheduled day off. I was practicing a little bit. It's a nice music. It kind of reminds me of it. That sounds a little bit like maybe from Eve or something with Dr. Dre production, maybe something like that. There's an Oh yeah, I would say something like that. There's something with the guitar happening. It sounds really nice. It's really nice. Made me think of summertime and cruising and convertible and all that. So we're working on it. My friend Zanya suggested I use a metronome when I rap because I'm not on time all the time. I think Luke's perspective was that wasn't necessary. Maybe it just depends on the person. Like I said, it's just hard for me. I mean, I'm not trying to write lyrics that are exactly, like that. I'm just trying to write some lyrics, but I definitely got to be on time, I guess, at the beginning of each line. But anyway, it is what it is. And since I'm not around them much, we can't go much further with that. It's just a suggestion. but it just always makes me think, oh, I hope I'm on time with this. And I guess with this recording, my thinking is if I memorize the lyrics really well, and if I'm not on time, I can adjust it based on knowing the lyrics really well. Since if I really own the lyrics, then I can make adjustments if there seems to be a need. Like I said, I'm kind of hoping I'm on time, but we'll see. All right, merch. There it is. There's Booskin. Nothing new with that. Trump's going to thump. Yes, he will thump the Republican field for sure. And that's not changing. The same pattern has happened the whole time Trump's been around. Something happens, people always expect it to negatively affect them, and it's either neutral or positive, the media. They're dead wrong 100% of the time, and then they keep going through this stuff like this is the one. I mean, this is, what would you call insanity is doing the same thing over and over and thinking you'll get a different result. Isn't that the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and think you'll get a different result. So what do we have with the mainstream media and all these prognosticators? You think you're going to do something to Trump to basically separate him from his voters, his supporters, as the Russians said. It doesn't work. It always backfires, and you think you're going to get a different result. So, have you heard the quote? Have you stepped back and thought about it? Doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter because they're doing what they're supposed to be doing to get their pay, and results don't matter either, right? All right, you'll be glorified. Nothing new there. Getting closer to going to Mosaic though. I've seen Pastor Paul at Polyarch. He's seen him at the Thai food place on my route, and Pastor Andrew. Talk to him some. So we're getting there. We'll get there. I'll get there. But that's all for that. So current events wise, I don't know what to look at this thing on, and it's got the logo. Am I going to get fined? I don't know. Current events, I would say we got all this stuff. Oh, here's the only thing. This is where I think it's interesting politics, right? So, corporations there's a list. What kind of list? You're an ally or you're not an ally of all the pride stuff. And if you're not on the list, you're not an ally, you're shunned, your dollars aren't getting spent for that. Even though I think on the flip side, if you're a Christian, maybe we need to have a list there. These are all the Christian companies, and maybe get persecuted, maybe not, but at least you stand for something here, right? And so stand for something righteous, not just because your feelings are hurt. Okay, so what I think about though all the time is China's exempt from this stuff, I believe. I mean, as far as I know, they have corporations. They probably invest in corporations. I don't know how this works exactly, but they're not on board with any of the environmental stuff, and they're not on board with any of the pride stuff, as far as I know. Last thing I heard, I don't think that's going to change. And I thought about why is it? Because if you think about Marxism and communism, typically it's anti-religious. It's hostile towards religion, right? I would think it'd be hostile toward families, but they got some rules in China there that you can't have a big family anymore, right? So, but they don't go for it. What keeps that from happening? And I know a lot of it is dishonoring. You have the intergenerational, the bringing shame to your parents. And this kind of thing, you know, there's a rebellion that happens in the West that doesn't, I guess, happen in the East. I think would be the easiest way to say it. And as a result, even though it's communist or whatever it's called, culturally, I just don't see it. You know, and that's I just think it's interesting. So TikTok, I haven't got on it yet. Where do they stand? Should have looked. I was thinking about it. Where do they stand with Pride? I mean, they're in the medium world. I gotta imagine they can't be saying no totally. It's a Chinese company, so and who knows? They probably filter it different there. You know, there could be two entities. They can have an American version and a Chinese version, right? It's not going to fly there. Anyway, that's what I was thinking about. So let me work on this song and do it like that. So we are taught how to create wealth is the name. I had a real short and sweet little rhyme. And then we'll just see how it goes with that. Like I said, it's interesting. Just throw it out there and see how it goes. We are taught to create wealth. We are taught how to create wealth. And I think when I did the rhyme, I just did it off memory because it's so short. We are taught how to create wealth, just not for self. Oh darn! Man, I'm saying self. Just not for self. I feel like I'm coming out. I reviewed the tape. It didn't sound bad, but anyway, we are taught how to create wealth, just not for self. Oh darn! We're more likely to learn how to envy the wealth we've created for others. That's what it was. All right, so yes. So that's what I was saying. We're taught how to create wealth for others, and then we're taught how to envy the wealth we've helped them create. And we're taught to envy them and maybe even despise them, even though we're the ones helping them get rich, right? We're taught that. We're not taught how to make our own. So what kind of deal is that? Doesn't make sense. All right. So we're more likely to learn how to envy the wealth we've created for others. So now I want to go not as a rhyme, but just kind of because it's not gonna rhyme at this point. But I'm gonna say we're more likely to learn how to envy the wealth we create for others. So I could get on that envy. Envy is jealousy, right? Pride. These aren't good traits. Okay. Envy the wealth we create for others. Envy the lives they live. Envy the trips they take. Feeling no. Let's try it like this. Feeling not the power to have our own stake. And I just want to look up stake. I've heard it a million times, but let's just look it up. for education's sake. All right. Stake. Stagflation. You want to know the definition of stagflation? Because I heard it. A condition in which a high rate of price and wage inflation is coupled with stagnant consumer demand and high unemployment. Mm-hmm. I've heard the term recently, and I think that's what the situation could very well be. Stake. All right. A piece of wood or metal shaped chart, a vertical post. Okay. Often state money or property risked in a wager or gambling game. The reward or prize awarded to the winner of a contest raised purse. The stakes are high, right? Yeah. A share or interest in an entry. That's what I'm really getting at. Man, that is deep into the definition. That is on number 7. The number 7 definition of stake is a share or interest in an enterprise, especially a financial share. Okay, it's STAK. Now, I forgot to look up the history of the word, but feeling not the power to have our own stake. There we go. Envy the wealth we've created for others. Envy the lives they live. Envy the trips they take. Feeling not the power to have our own stake. Okay, so I'm getting into this rich dad, poor dad, and all that kind of stuff. And again, I'm just hanging in there, just trying to get I'm resetting my. I explained it to someone today. Get a bill, pay a bill. Get a bill, pay a bill. Starting point. Boom. Business building job. 1. 2. Anyway money. 3. Multiplier effect. All right. So I'm on step 1 still. Thinking about educating people. All right. Personally. But I'm just saying, having conversations with people about stuff like this. Envy the wealth we've created for others. Envy the lives they live. Envy the trips they take. Feeling not the power to have our own stake. Okay, so and it was thrown out the question being asked by some billionaires, but yeah, guys that are doing well. What is the American dream today? What is and they talk about home ownership. And is that an end? Is that the end point? Is that where you feel like success? Because what's the definition? Success is a progressive realization of a worthwhile dream or goal, right? But I think it's a progressive realization. It's not a fixed endpoint like a home ownership. If anything, you bought a house. Okay, now you're on to buying the second house or the third or the fourth or a hotel or an apartment or something. That would make sense. So home ownership cannot be the American dream. That cannot be the end point because that's a fixed, target. In 30 years, I mean, this can't be it, And if that is the American dream, is that what people put build their lives for? My goodness, very empty and very. That's a low bar for people. I would say. I would hope they set a higher bar for themselves. Now, do I own a home at this point? No. Do I want to own one? Yes, but that's not where it ends. Helping maybe teach others how to own their own home. Would that be satisfying? It's the multiplier effect. But not just stopping there. Then they can help others. You know what I'm saying? Teaching people. That's the power. I put a line out here, so I will have a rhyme of the week. Let's see if I can come up with another rhyme in the last few seconds. Feeling not the power to have our own state. Feeling. Let's just wait. I'll marinate on that one. And you can as well if you choose to do so. Till next time when we get back to the line.